All right, well, let's talk about it because that's what everyone is going to want to discuss. I think that the Disney Plus extensions of Marvel and Star Wars have been a bit rocky. I think that Mandalorian certainly has had great moments. I mean, I was all in on season 1. I thought it was great. I kind of fell off for a number of reasons. We will get back to that. But what I did like that they did was at the beginning of watching this is they did a little reminder, a little wrap up of episodes 1, 2, and 3, the highlights, the things you should know going into Kenobi. I thought that was
the prequels. You mean
the prequels, yeah. And that little wrap up was the best part, and it was downhill from there. I really think that this show is not for kids, it's for children. This show is for children, in spite of the fact that someone gets their hand chopped off by Reva, a new character, a new and sure to be beloved character in the Star Wars universe. But look, I there's just so many logic lapses, and then also lapses, I think, in judgment. So I watched them back to back, and what sort of bummed me out was so many things just stood out as just cheap. The casting of Flea as, I'm not going to go into the story because there are other channels that do that better than I do. I'll tell you about like what I thought worked, what didn't work, and what worked is going to be a very short list. What didn't work is most of it, and no, I'm serious. I mean, we could go down the line.
You're forgetting the greatest thing about Kenobi is diversity and inclusion.
That's the best thing. That's the thing I like most.
That is what I've been wanting in a Star Wars story since I was a child.
Well, first of all, it's never enough. It's never enough, and that's the thing that makes Star Wars great. Is what you just said. I'm not gonna say it.
I mean, it's that slow buildup since A New Hope to now, and you see that progression, and you just realize how great this franchise is, and how greater it is now that Disney is running the show.
Well, let's get into it. One, Ewan McGregor is very good as this character. He's very good as Obi-Wan. You see the pain that you see the pain and suffering. What he was partially responsible for, definitely responsible for the descent of the galaxy into authoritarian rule. Kind of he had a hand in that, and you feel that. And then you have Benny Safdie playing a Jedi in hiding, and he's got sort of cheesy Star Trek The Next Generation. Like whenever Star Trek The Next Generation was lazy and they would go like, I don't know, put a bridge on their nose, make their nose look weird. He has sort of these markings on him, on his face. And that's his character. And he is a Jedi in hiding who is, I'm sorry, we're going to talk spoilers because I'm assuming if you're watching this, if you're watching this, you've seen it. Okay. If you haven't seen it yet, maybe I can save you 2 hours of your life.
Yeah. And we're only doing the first 2 episodes. So
we're only doing the first 2
episodes. There's more for you to love.
I don't know if we'll return and continue to discuss this. Unfortunately, I am curious to see the way that episode 2 ended. I'm curious to see what happens next. I'm just curious. Here's where the show just fell apart, was just like the lack of attention to detail in terms of things that connect. And then additionally, because all the things that connect that fans are like, I couldn't believe I'm flipping through Twitter and I'm seeing I'm crying because they were posting a photo of young Leia and older Leia and how much their outfits matched. That is lazy. That's not, I think people have begun to misuse the term Easter egg. An Easter egg is something that is hidden that you'll notice. Something that's sort of right there in your face is not really necessarily an Easter egg. But
and the idea is you have to hunt for it like an Easter egg.
Yeah, you have to hunt for it. It's like it's there right in front of your face and you don't notice it and whatever. And some stuff is just really obvious. But let's talk about the cast because I feel like that's the weakest part. Flea as the abductor of Leia. what? That just stood out to me as like, I mean, look, truth be told, he was great in Back to the Future too. Flea. It was sort of funny that he was Marty's boss. But as a heavy in this, could we have just gone with someone who was just kind of an unknown or just a good character actor?
See, to me, it wasn't him. It was just this idea that how easy is it to kidnap a princess?
I guess it was super easy. They grabbed her, and let's talk about the actress. And look, these are child actors. Okay, I'm going to be kind, but I guess Alderaan does not have a very good dental plan. I'm being dead serious.
Oh my gosh.
The girl who, okay, you're laughing because it's true, right, Alan?
Yeah, but, okay. What are you going to do? That's her baby teeth. They're going to fall out. You can't screw around with that stuff.
The actress they hire, either Alderaan has a terrible dental plan, and they could have even said, Bail Organa could have said, I have to go to the Senate because I plan to argue for better dental care for everyone on Alderaan. They could have made it present day, like the healthcare crisis in America. You know how we love present day references in our fantasy works? We love that, don't we?
Yeah.
I fucking hate it.
I think he should have said, the reason your teeth doesn't look like your mother and mine is because you're adopted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think Padme and Anakin had bad teeth, but the actress, the young actress, her teeth are so bad it was distracting. Am I wrong? People in the chat, we'll get to your comments. We've got Flaccid Phoenix with us today. Yeah. Well, he was with us on Wednesday. I'm not sure if I mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I watched it on my iPad, and so I didn't notice the teeth at all. So I'm not.
Okay, you watched on your iPad. I watched it on my 4K TV.
Yeah,
it's how big is my TV?
And I think my email covered up her teeth too. My email address.
Well, there you go. Okay, but it was distractingly bad. Okay, they somehow found an actress that's worse than Jake Lloyd in episode 1. I'm looking at Jake Lloyd in episode 1 fondly going, okay, maybe he didn't do such a bad job compared to this young actress who is, she's just a kid. She's just a kid. I'm not trying to be unkind, but I'm pointing out that, one, she wasn't very good. She was supposed to be precocious. I mean, can they find young? It's really like a Hayley Joel Osment, something like that. He was really great actor as a kid.
Yeah.
That has
he did audition for Anakin.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I think I'm right. I know that there are some high profile child actors, and for some reason, George Lucas went with Jake Lloyd. And I I may be wrong, but I believe Hayley Joel was in that mix.
Yeah, well, look, I people are going to mock me in the chat for making fun of a kid's teeth.
I know.
It was distracting. And Kumail Nanjiani, I'm disappointed. Okay. I'm disappointed. Kumail Nanjiani's in it. He's sort of pretending to be a fake Jedi to make money on the side off of innocent people, right? He's sort of like trying to get him off planet, and he's using fake Jedi powers, which is pretty funny. Is that your dog, Alan?
It is my cat. My cat slept in the studio last night.
Every time with you, it's a new animal.
Yeah,
I have no idea what's going on in the barnyard where you're live streaming from. I kid.
I mean, I'll say this about Kumail. I think the problem was he leaned too heavily into the comedic performance, and you watch. There was certainly humor in Star Wars, but it was never goofy, goofball, silly humor like this. And there are certain things that happen in Kenobi that is just so out of Star Wars style, cinematic style, and acting that just stands out. I mean, Reva, we could talk about that later, but I have a big issue with one aspect of her that just threw me out of, just made me go, this is not a good, well-defined character, well-developed character at all.
Right. And I'll tell you my problem with her. But first, let's talk about Kumail Nanjiani. I thought he was fine. He was fine. I actually really like him as an actor. Just in Eternals, I thought he was the most likable character. He was
probably the most memorable character.
Most memorable, interesting, whatever. I like Kumail. I'm incredibly disappointed that Kumail Nanjiani's character did not turn out to be Kitster from episode 1. Kitster was Anakin's childhood friend, who was a little Indian boy. Go back and watch episode 1. Kitster is in there. Kitster in episode 1 goes to do a high five with little Greedo, and they miss, and they left it in the movie. I'm not joking. The pod race scene, go back and watch it. Kitster is the little boy, and he goes to do a high five and misses Greedo's high five, and they just left it in the film. Now, I happen to know, because I know people who worked on the prequels in the special effects department. Kitster was so bad, George Lucas thought Kitster was so bad that they actually had meetings and considered changing the character and putting an alien head on Kitster's head. I'm not making this up. This is absolutely true. Story told to me by people who worked on the films that George Lucas was kind of frustrated with this little kid's performance, and he didn't want to hurt the family's feelings, so he kept Kitster in the movie. Go back and watch episode 1, and specifically, and look, coming to Disney Plus very soon is Star Wars: A Kitster Story. That's coming. I know it's going to happen, but I think that's a huge missed opportunity to not have a grown-up Kitster, so that when Anakin went to Todd, and who knows, it may be revealed that Camille Nanjiani is Kitster, but I feel like that's a huge missed opportunity. Mm-hmm. Huge missed opportunity with this thing. I look, the writing is cheesy Disney Channel writing. This isn't this is Disney Channel writing. I feel like the character of Reva, she's supposed to have weight and gravitas. She's clearly one of the children in the very beginning, right? Who escapes and is saved, right? The problem I have with Reva is her accent. Yeah. She sounds too earthbound. And if she is part of the Imperials, you'd think if this happens, people move to different countries or whatever, and they kind of take on an accent, right? Like if you live somewhere for a long enough time, you kind of pick up like, I have friends who are British who live in the United States, and they kind of lose their accent. They have more of an American, sort of hybrid American-British accent. Yeah. Reva should have had a British accent and should have had more gravitas. And that's my critique of that character is this character is supposed to have a lot of weight, and I don't know. She just it didn't work.
Well, let me talk about that.
Please.
Her accent is clearly it's kind of an aggressive American accent in terms of trying to be tough. Right. And the problem is I don't feel the actress. I'm not going to blame the actress for this, but I don't feel like. Well, I'll blame the actress for this. I don't feel like she's comfortable with her characterization of Reva. And it's not coming out in her performance at all. And so it feels like she's acting. And that's, I could point out many times in Star Wars where someone was acting. This just feels like it. But the problem is this is a main character. This is our villain. And, she's just not portraying the character right. I do appreciate the fact, though, that she's a woman and that she's a villain. And I think, for some reason, for the last several years, we've not wanted to make women true villains. And I think it will say something if they keep her a villain throughout the entire series. Because they always tend to make them good at the end or find some kind of redemption that has to do with toxic masculinity. I've got to just say, I hand it to them for at least keeping her a villain at this point and making her the villain, making her a very aggressive villain. But the accent, she's just not comfortable with this character at all.
Well, the villain until, she'll be overshadowed, so to speak, by perhaps some other villains in this tale.
Oh, Darth Vader, but
I don't know, just something about it felt cheap. Mm-hmm. And all the stuff with young Leia was like Disney Channel, like a children's show. Not a children's show where it's just like it works on different levels, right? Like it's like a show like, you can watch like The Simpsons and it's like it works for kids, but also works on a different level for adults, or many other shows, Pixar movies, they work on different levels. It just felt so cheap and like Disney. Like I don't know. I'm watching this going. Yeah. I felt dumb watching it, and I felt like, how am I? This is what Star Wars fandom has come to. Is this garbage? Like, this is what they're passing off. And these other, I'm going to say this just like observationally, right? First 2 episodes directed by Deborah Chow. I'm going to assume maybe she directs the last 4. We can look it up on, maybe that's on IMDb, maybe it's not. You know what this needed? Male energy. It needed someone in the room, a guy to say, that's a fucking stupid idea. That's dumb. Don't do that. The audience is not going to believe it. That's stupid. And I feel like what it lacked was a male energy, like just a testosterone. Maybe it's just, you know why? Because I just got off seeing Top Gun Maverick. And then I watched these first 2 episodes, and it really contrasted with like Top Gun Maverick, Jerry Bruckheimer, Tom Cruise, very, very masculine. And look, and there's your share of female characters in that movie, and they're freaking badasses as well. Strongly recommend you see Top Gun Maverick twice this weekend if you can. But on the heels of watching that, I go and watch Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it just felt wimpy. And it felt like, I don't know, it just felt cheap, and it felt like a children's show, and I felt stupid watching it, and I felt like this is the in-between story 10 years later after Obi-Wan fought Anakin and effectively left him to die, and burn alive.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think that this was, what I've seen so far. If the rest of the series is like this, I think it's going to be pretty lame.
Yeah.
I don't really expect much. I think it's going to be frustrating, and it's going to do what a lot of the Disney Star Wars. This is what Disney Star Wars has done to Star Wars. It has destroyed Star Wars. It has made it, in the words of, as I was scrolling through Twitter and looking at the Obi-Wan reactions, Gary Beekler, Nerdrotic, came up and he called it Star Was. But on purpose, Star Was. It really is. And I feel like it's just whatever this incarnation of Star Wars is, the Disney Star Wars, it's missing George Lucas's innovation. They try to do stuff like that. They'll have like a little creature scurrying or whatever, but George Lucas would do that in a unique way. Go back to Star Wars Episode 1, or Star Wars, excuse me, not Star Wars Episode 1, Star Wars Episode 4. Yeah. To me, that's Star Wars, okay? Not only are these like amazing designed robots inspired by Fritz Lang's Metropolis, talking about C-3PO, there are robots in the Jawa Sandcrawler, robots of aliens, meaning, like, if you look, there's a robot that has a head that is an alien head. That's how deeply George Lucas thought about everything, every aspect, fetishized every aspect. How does everything function? How does the world building, like, how am I going to make this believable? Or as Robert Meyer Burnett says, verisimilitude, right? It's just, you make it believable. And there was just nothing in this that was interesting, enchanting, new. I don't know. It was just incredibly disappointing. And I don't know. And I was looking forward to this. I was like, I'm going to give it a chance. Yeah. I want to see it. But again, I think it contrasted with my seeing Top Gun Maverick. And you see this and you go like, this is made by committee content, put out by a giant studio, where I'm fairly certain that the people involved wanted to be more creative. And I do feel that, like, Jon Favreau had a little bit more that he could do with the Mandalorian, which made the Mandalorian just a little bit more male energy. And I feel like that's what this Star Wars is lacking. And also, I think I'm not particularly impressed. I know Deborah Chow did some of the better episodes of The Mandalorian, but having seen that she did this, it's directed in a very pedestrian way.
Well, let me defend her just for a moment. She directed all 6 episodes, but she didn't write a single one of them.
Well,
so she's working with what's given to her. And let me talk about the writing. The writing is what I think failed the most in this. I'm okay with the plot and the storyline, the idea that Princess Leia gets kidnapped. Obi-Wan has to go and rescue her. That's that's not a bad idea, but it's, when you compare the dialogue of this show with the Star Wars series, the things that George Lucas wrote, every line, every scene did one of two things. It was like a deep dive, a kind of a contemplative look at the world around them, the Force and all that stuff, or it was some way to inform, this is the character, this is who Han Solo is, that's why he talks this way and says these things. And you get none of that in this. It just feels like the dialogue services the action on the screen, as opposed to saying something larger about the larger world that Star Wars is. And so, it's all, here's a scene where they confront the villagers in a bar, and the dialogue is about confronting the villagers in the bar, but it says nothing about the Jedi, what happened with the Jedi, where we are at this point. When Owen confronts Obi-Wan about not seeing, stay away from Luke, the dialogue is essentially saying, stay away from Luke, as opposed to kind of give this grand idea of why they're in this situation. And then also, with Obi-Wan being in the desert for these many years, you would think that he's thought about things a lot and that he has some idea of what's going on and what's going to happen. But it's almost as if Obi-Wan had just dropped in there and just been moping around for, 5-6 years. And so, it's doing nothing really to expand the lore of Star Wars, but more or less to service this narrative that's going on. And I think that's the worst thing that this series is doing, is it's wasting an opportunity and just telling a straightforward, go save Princess Leia's story. And with nothing to really elevate the lore that was Star Wars.
Well, and first of all, I completely agree with everything you just said. What it lacks is subtext.
Mm-hmm.
Where you deliver a line. I mean, go back and watch the original Star Wars trilogy. So many of those lines have weight and more meaning beneath what is just being said on the surface.
Right.
And everything in this show is what's on the surface. That's it. That's what's being said. And so do they somehow explain that, are they going to add a line, special edition sort of style to the original trilogy? Obi-Wan, yeah, you saved me when I was a kid. Do you remember when we hung out on that one planet and you saved me from Flea? You served my father in the Clone Wars. Well, yeah. A little more than that. You saved me once. I need you to save me again. This is just this. It's bad. It's bad. Yeah. I can't be the only one that thinks this. I'll
give you another point.
Sure.
When Leia is with her cousin and he's being kind of a dick, you would think that there'd be a teaching moment here, especially if this is a Disney Channel show. Yeah. But it's more, you shouldn't have done that. Apologize to your cousin. But, that was an opportunity to say something about the Force or say something about the culture of Star Wars at that time. And they just make it a soap opera drama at that point.
Yeah, it's just, we're going to get into it and we're going to get to your comments. But first, we have over 350 people watching right now. I want to say thank you. If you have not been to the Film Threat YouTube channel, please give us a like on this video and subscribe. Actually, you know what? Slap that like button and slap the subscribe button.
Oh, wow.